Have you ever done something kind for a complete stranger, never expecting to see them again? Imagine stopping on the side of a lonely road to help someone whose car has broken down, only to discover a few hours later that the stranger is the very person you were nervous about meeting. Sometimes life has a way of rewarding kindness when we least expect it. This story isn't just about a blind date. It's about second chances, quiet sacrifices, and how one simple act of kindness can change two lives forever. Stay with me until the end because this unexpected meeting proves that the smallest good deed can become the beginning of something beautiful. Before we begin, welcome to Stories of Kindness. If you enjoy heartwarming stories that restore your faith in people, please subscribe, give this video a like, and leave a comment telling us about a time someone showed you unexpected kindness. Your support helps Stories of Kindness bring more inspiring stories to life. Mark Thompson was 38 years old, a widowed father, and the kind of man who always put everyone else first. Every morning started before sunrise. He packed lunches, braided his 8-year-old daughter Lily's hair as best he could, and somehow managed to get them both out the door on time. Life hadn't been easy since his wife passed away 3 years earlier. Grief had settled quietly into their home, but Mark refused to let it define their future. He smiled for Lily, worked overtime as an auto mechanic, and believed that being kind cost nothing, even when life felt unfair. His coworkers had spent months convincing him to try dating again. "You deserve to be happy," his friend Jake kept saying. Finally, Mark agreed to a blind date arranged by Jake's wife. "I don't know," Mark admitted while wiping grease from his hands. "What if I'm not ready?" "You'll never know unless you try." The date was scheduled for Friday evening at a small Italian restaurant downtown. As Friday arrived, Mark dropped Lily off with his sister and began driving toward the restaurant. He felt nervous in a way he hadn't experienced in years. What if they had nothing in common? What if she expected someone more successful? What if she looked at him and saw only a tired single father? His thoughts were interrupted when he noticed a silver SUV sitting on the shoulder of the highway with its hazard lights flashing. A woman stood beside it, looking frustrated while talking on her phone. Several cars drove past without slowing down. Mark glanced at the clock. He was already running a little late. He sighed. Then he pulled over. The woman looked relieved as he approached. "I'm so sorry to bother you," she said. "My car just died. Roadside assistance says it'll be at least an hour." Mark smiled. "No bother at all. Let's see what's going on." He opened the hood and immediately noticed the battery terminal had come loose after hitting a pothole. "You got lucky," he said. "This should only take a few minutes." The woman watched as he carefully tightened the connection using a small wrench from his toolbox. "You really know what you're doing." "I work as a mechanic." Within minutes, the engine started perfectly. The woman let out a laugh of relief. "You just saved my evening. I'm glad I could help." She reached into her purse. "Please let me pay you." Mark shook his head. "No, thank you, but you took time out of your day." "My dad taught me something when I was young," Mark said. "If you have the ability to help someone safely, you help. That's payment enough." For a moment, the woman simply looked at him. "You don't meet many people like that anymore." Mark smiled politely. "Drive safely." He returned to his truck without even asking her name. By the time he reached the restaurant, he was nearly 20 minutes late. He apologized to the hostess and nervously walked toward the reserved table. A woman stood as he approached. They stared at each other. Then both of them burst into laughter. "You," they said at the same time. It was the woman from the highway. She couldn't stop smiling. "I can't believe this." Mark rubbed the back of his neck. "Neither can I." She extended her hand. "I'm Emily." "Mark." They sat down, still laughing about the unbelievable coincidence. "I was wondering what kind of man I'd be meeting tonight," Emily admitted. "Turns out I already met him. And I almost didn't stop," Mark confessed. "I was worried about being late." "I'm really glad you did." Dinner felt surprisingly easy. There were no awkward silences. No pretending to be someone they weren't. Emily worked as an elementary school librarian and loved encouraging children to discover books. Mark shared stories about Lily and how becoming a single father had changed his life. Instead of feeling judged, he felt understood. When dessert arrived, Emily looked thoughtful. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." When you fixed my car today, I was having one of the worst weeks of my life. She explained that her mother had recently lost her eyesight due to a medical condition. Emily had spent weeks balancing work, hospital visits, and helping her mother adjust to a completely different life. I was exhausted, she admitted. Then my car broke down. I thought it was just one more thing going wrong. She smiled softly, and then a stranger stopped. You reminded me there are still good people in the world. Mark felt humbled. It really wasn't a big deal. It was to me. She reached across the table. Kindness always feels bigger to the person receiving it. Those words stayed with Mark. Over the next several weeks, they continued seeing each other. Emily didn't just accept Lily. She genuinely cared about her. One Saturday, she surprised Lily by taking her to the library and helping her pick books about space because she remembered Lily wanted to become an astronaut someday. Mark watched his daughter laugh more than she had in years. Something inside him began healing. Months later, Lily asked a question that made both adults emotional. Dad, do you think Mom sent Emily to us? Mark looked toward Emily, who was helping decorate cookies in the kitchen. He smiled. I don't know, but I think your mom would be happy seeing a smile again. Emily quietly wiped away a tear after overhearing the conversation. As time passed, their relationship grew stronger. Not because everything was perfect. Life still brought unexpected challenges. Emily's mother continued adjusting to blindness. Mark still worked long hours. Bills still needed paying. Some days were difficult, but they faced those days together. One winter afternoon, Mark came home exhausted after repairing cars during a snowstorm. Emily had picked Lily up from school and filled the house with the smell of homemade soup. It looks like you've had a long day, she said. I have, she smiled. Sit down. For the first time in years, home felt completely full again. Not because the pain had disappeared, but because kindness had quietly made room for hope. A year after their unforgettable first meeting, Mark returned to the exact stretch of highway where Emily's car had broken down. He asked her to walk with him. She looked confused. Why are we here? He smiled. Because this is where everything changed. He reached into his pocket and knelt on one knee. Cars continued passing just as they had the year before. But this time, neither of them noticed. Emily, he said, his voice shaking, I stopped that day because someone needed help. I never imagined I'd find the person who would help heal my own heart. Will you marry me? Tears filled Emily's eyes before she whispered the word he had been hoping to hear. Yes. Lily, hiding nearby with Jake and Mark's sister, ran toward them cheering. The three embraced as snowflakes gently drifted around them. Years later, whenever people asked how they met, everyone expected a romantic story about a fancy restaurant. Instead, Emily always smiled. It started with a broken car. Mark would laugh. No, it started with one small decision to stop and help. Their story became a reminder shared with friends, neighbors, and eventually their children. You never know whose life you're changing when you choose kindness. Sometimes the person you're helping is carrying a burden you'll never see. Sometimes your smallest act becomes someone else's greatest memory. And sometimes, without realizing it, kindness leads you exactly where you're meant to be. So the next time you see someone who needs a little help, don't underestimate the power of a simple choice. Hold the door, offer a hand, share a smile, be patient, be generous. Your kindness may become the turning point in someone else's story, and perhaps in your own. Thank you for spending time with Stories of Kindness today. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who believes the world still needs more kindness. Until next time, remember that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change a life.